So yeah, you heard who I am, and I work for King Art Games. I'm not the founder. I'm just an employee. We were founded in 2000 and have more than 30 people in-house working for us. And so far we've produced more than 40 games. And yeah, in 2012, Kickstarter became relevant to game developers mainly because Tim Schafer started a Kickstarter for an adventure game he wanted to make. He asked for $400,000, and he received a lot more, 8 times that money. And he was closely followed by other famous game developers like Brian Fargo with Wasteland 2, Richard Garriott, who made a sequel to his Ultima series with Shroud of the Avatar, and probably everyone who's heard about Kickstarter or is following Kickstarter campaigns has heard about Star Citizen by Chris Roberts, which has raised millions and millions of dollars. So we thought, when we saw that, we thought we might give it a try. And we actually watched it for half a year to see if it was just a bubble that was going to burst soon. But when it prevailed, we started our first Kickstarter campaign. That was for the turn-based strategy game Battleworlds Kronos. And this project had been with the company for a long time. It actually had been started in 2006, 2007. And there was a prototype and a community of hundreds of people, or even thousands, I don't know the exact number, who loved the game and wanted us to finish it. But every time we went to a publisher, they said, the turn-based strategy genre is dead, and we won't fund this game. So sadly, we had to put it on ice. And Kickstarter was our opportunity to try and have this game funded after all, and have the people who loved it and who supported it help us in this project. So it was funded in 7 days, and got more than double the sum we asked for, and was a huge success. Our second Kickstarter, about a year later, was for the Book of Unwritten Tales 2, which is a sequel to a game we did before. And this one was even funded within 30 hours. And it was also really successful. And this year we did our third Kickstarter campaign for the action RPG The Dwarves. It is based on a best-selling novel by the German author Markus Heitz. And this time we asked for more money, so it went a little slower. But in the end, it turned out to be the most successful Kickstarter campaign we've had so far. For all those projects, we had base funding. We put in our own money or had publishing partners, but we needed more money, or we asked the fans to help us implement features that we otherwise couldn't put into the game, like soundtrack recorded by a real orchestra. And yeah, 3 different genres, 3 different games, and all of those were a success. And although there is no secret recipe to Kickstarter, I'll try to tell you how, what points, what things we looked at to make it as successful as possible. Well, the campaign itself is just a tiny fraction of the time you put into the game. We prepared the campaign for about 6 months each time, and the campaign runs for 30, 40 days. And then, of course, you have to finish the game and produce it and keep your backers updated. So one of the most important things you have to do is research. do your homework. Back some projects yourself to know the dynamics of Kickstarter, to know what it's like as a backer, as a fan, to follow a Kickstarter campaign. You can do research on platforms like KickTrack and look at campaigns that have been successful, but also you should look at campaigns that looked successful but didn't succeed, because you can see and analyze what they did wrong or what their campaign lacked. Also, you should analyze their Kickstarter campaign page. Look at how they set it up, what kind of info do they offer on the page. Look at their pitch trailer, how is it structured, what features are they promoting in their Kickstarter campaign, and what kind of rewards do they have, and how, most importantly, how do they react with the community, how do they react to feedback they get. So I have to admit, if you're really new, it's not that easy to do a Kickstarter campaign. And so you have to build up an audience. We were lucky that for the first Kickstarter we had the audience from the prototype of the game. For the second Kickstarter we had the fans of the first game in the series. And for the third Kickstarter it was already a best-selling novel. So we could already base on the fans of the novel. So it's important that you find your niche and build up a fan base. You should participate in discussions around the genre and get feedback from people. Maybe you can show early work to them and ask them for their suggestions, what you could add or change. Also find out what makes competitors' games interesting to the target audience. What do they like about those games? What would they do differently? And of course, you can also do, if you have a small user base built up already, you can do surveys and ask them for their opinion on your game or the genre in general. Besides building up fans, it's also important to build up a network of friends in the games industry. Because I don't know if you can read that. We had on our latest Kickstarter campaign, we had those recommendations by other game designers who had big Kickstarter projects. So that raises the trust of your backers in your project. And yeah, you should build up and build up your network on Twitter and Facebook, and also attend gaming events like this one to meet new people and make friends with other developers. Also, you can look out for other Kickstarter campaigns from a similar genre, so that you can later do cross-promotion or tell each other fans about your games. It's important to research your rewards that you offer to the backers, because many small Kickstarter campaigns make the mistake of not calculating every aspect of the rewards. And if you just assume a price that it's going to cost you to offer something like a collectible item, it can be much more expensive, and that will all eat away from the budget you have. So it's always good to have digital rewards instead of physical ones, because those don't generate shipping costs. Because shipping costs can be a whole science of itself, because some countries it's really expensive to ship to. And also stuff like posters, if you roll them and send them in a poster roll, it's a lot more expensive than a normal package. And also you should think about the number of units you will likely be able to produce of that object. Because if you have like a collectible figurine of your game's character, It might be cheap to produce if you have 500 of them, but if you only need 20 or 30, it might be $50 to $100 for one figurine, and you won't make a lot of money from the Kickstarter. And also the production time. Can you finish those in time to ship them to your backers? And one of the most popular kind of rewards in our Kickstarter campaigns or other Kickstarter campaigns is always participation. If users, if backers are able to appear in your game, if it's their name in the credits or their face somewhere in the game, or even a 3D model of them participating as an NPC, that's really something people are willing to pay a lot of money for, but it's also a lot of work if you have to add those to the game. Then you have to be aware of stretch goals. You really shouldn't just add a stretch goal because people would like it, but you should also calculate how much time, how much budget do we need to implement this stretch goal. And you should always tell the backers that it's going to take more time if you add a stretch goal. Or you say the funding goal and the deadline that we set ourselves are one thing, but any of the stretch goals will be implemented after that time. Of course, the timing of the campaign is also really important. When does it start? When does it end? And how long is it? There are certain events in the gaming industry that suck up all of the media attention, like the E3, the Gamescom. If you try to get media coverage in these time periods, it's almost impossible, except when you exhibit at those events and announce your Kickstarter at these events. That might be an advantage. But to most small studios, it's too expensive to get a booth at those events. Also, the time around Christmas is not the best time for a small developer to try to run a Kickstarter campaign, because people are people's minds are busy with the AAA games they want to play and buy for Christmas. Yes. So if there's one main thing that you have to do right on your Kickstarter, it's the pitch video. That's the most important thing, because it's the first thing people see of your campaign, and for people who are too lazy to read all the text, it may be the only thing they see. And from our personal experience, the conversion rate is really good. More than 10% of the people who watched the Kickstarter pitch video backed our project. So our main goal when we run a Kickstarter is to get as many people to watch the video as possible. The video should reflect the production values of the final game. So don't do a badly made video with a webcam or something like that. It's always good to invest some money to make a really good video. We had people come to our studio and film our facilities with people working in it to show the atmosphere. And we also had the soundtrack produced especially for the Kickstarter videos each time. And we were lucky that we could reuse that music later as the main theme of the game. And of course, we hired a professional voice actor to voice the videos so that the message can be delivered clearly. Yes, this is one of my favorite quotes. It seems that perfection is attained not when there is nothing more to add, but when there is nothing more to remove. That's something you should take into account in many areas of game making or life. But for the video, it's important because people on the internet, people who use YouTube a lot of the time, have a short attention span. So don't start your video with a black screen and then a long logo animation and a deep voice in a world style, but cut right to the chase. Show the people your best stuff from the game. Because if they don't see good game material within the first 10 to 15 seconds, they either change the website altogether and just dismiss your project, or they start skipping through the video to find interesting bits, and you can't control what bits they see during skipping. So write the video like a commercial. Just put down the most important information and keep it as short and clear as possible. And to show you what I'm talking about, I hope this works, I've done a short summary of our 3 Kickstarter pitch videos, the first 20 to 25 seconds of each. Do I have to? No. I think I just have to click it. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. This is Battleworld's Kronos, a classic turn-based strategy game. We at King Art Games played games like Battle Isle, Advanced Wars, Panzer General, and other SSI classics for nights on end and loved every minute of it. These games involve clever tactics, long-term planning, transparent rules, and hard decisions, and that's how it should be.
Hi there, everybody. This is the Book of Unwritten Tales 2, a tongue-in-cheek homage to role-playing games and the fantasy world we all love. But it's not an RPG. It's a point-and-click adventure because... because... don't we want to make money or something?
Oi! Stick to the script, Nate. This is important.
Chill out, Shorty. I can...
Dwarves are known for their combative and fearless nature. Even when outnumbered 100 to 1, they won't ever think of giving up. They'll use all of their skills, tactical options of their environment, and clever combos to resist their enemies. In most role-playing games, they play only a supporting role, and you barely learn anything about their culture and history. We think that they deserve to be in the spotlight for a change, and that's exactly what they do in our tactical RPG, The Dwarves.
So you see, we showed the graphics, what it's going to look like in the end. We named the genre and what made it special. So for a successful campaign, you should stock up on ammo. And what I mean by that is don't just put all your effort into the video and then just let it run. Because you have to keep people updated on the project. You have to plan in 1 or 2 people who work on it around the clock to answer to feedback from fans. You have to do updates on Kickstarter. You can show gameplay videos, you can show more screenshots, and announce additional information like stretch goals, or if you start accepting PayPal via an external website, you should of course announce that too. Yeah, you should start with a bang. You should prepare for that and show the page to media before the start of the Kickstarter. Tell your fans about it so they can be ready the day it starts. Maybe you can even make a kind of like a countdown on your website. And you should push out info on all channels possible. You should make a press release, go on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. And of course, have your employees share the project with their social friends, because that's already a small target group that you almost get for free. Make rain in the desert. What I mean by that is, usually in a Kickstarter campaign, you raise the first third of the amount that you need within the first 2 or 3 days, and another third of the money you need in the last 2 or 3 days, and the rest of the money comes in the middle part. And as you can see by those curves, there's not much going on in the middle. You have like a base amount of money trickling in every day, but to be successful, you have to try to get some peaks in there and have some extra info that makes people want to give more or change their mind and support you after all. Listen to your community. That's really important. Engage them via Facebook, Twitter, and via Kickstarter personal messages. Respond quickly and regularly to all the feedback you get. And show your gratefulness to your fans. Tell them that you are really happy that they support you. And also, if you're nice to your community, you can ask them to help you, either by spreading the word and sharing the campaign with their networks, or helping you by translating your Kickstarter page information into their mother tongue and enabling people who don't speak English so well to read the info about the game. React and adapt your project. If people are asking for pledge tiers that you don't have yet, if there's enough demand, just add it to your campaign. Look for missing information. If important questions come up by people, answer them and put them in the FAQs so that people who are new to the campaign can don't have questions about it, because they can easily be turned away if there's too many unclear topics on your campaign. Also, cooperate with with your fans and with other projects. We did. We asked our fans to send in pictures of themselves as dwarves. We had a lot of backers who were cosplayers or who did live action role play. So we received a lot of cool pictures that we could then use on Twitter and Facebook to raise more attention for a project. We also asked the community for feedback on the characters on the game. We showed them concept art and different versions of characters and asked them which one they liked best or which elements of them they liked best, and adjusted it according to that feedback. And then we also did other media campaigns like a little war with our friends from Larian Studios. We had a little friendly battle on Twitter because they have dwarves in their game too. So we did an insult duel about insulting each other's dwarves. And it really raised a lot of awareness, and many people found that very funny and shared this. So here's again another graph that shows how much money was trickling in every day. And you can see some peaks there where we got like 10 times the amount of the average day. And those are days like where we run special stuff like that insult duel with Larian, or when we released extra information like stretch goals or introduced PayPal. And of course, after the campaign is funded and finished, you should not rest on your laurels, but you should keep the fans updated. You should show your progress. And don't stay silent. There's many campaigns that say, okay, we've got our money now, and for months you hear nothing about the campaign anymore. You should communicate with the fans about things that are going right, but also about problems, about complications and delays. Because backers can get really pissed if they find out that something has been boiling below the surface for a long time. And last but not least, deliver. Finish the game, preferably on time. And the good thing about Kickstarter is you have engaged the people, and they have the feeling that they're connected to your campaign. They helped you make this a reality. And it's a kind of feeling of pride that they made this possible. And it's a feeling of community. We all made this together. So let them help with spreading the word about the game when it's finished, when it's released. And yeah, learn from the success or failure you had. And even if it was a failure and you didn't get it funded on Kickstarter, you still have built up a community that loves the game and that you can then engage when you find the game. Okay, that's it. Any questions?
Hi, Tomer from Suncrash. We just did Greenlight and are also considering crowdfunding soon. I thought that your latest game, latest Kickstarter, Dwarves, was also supported by Nordic Games. Is that a publisher? Are they publishing the game for you?
Nordic Games was our publisher for the previous game, yeah.
So, yeah, so my question is for someone like me that's unknown, this is our first game. We want to build a fan base, but we don't have a big publisher working with us. Are there any recommendations on how we can do a successful Kickstarter, even a small one?
Well, first of all, you could reach out to the indie community. There's many indie games groups on Facebook, and get feedback from them. Show them what you've done so far with the game. And if they like it, they will comment on it, and their non-game development friends will see it too. And yeah, build up a Facebook page and tell people about it, and try to get people engaged. That's, yeah, basically what you have to do each time you make a game. Make people excited about your game.
Hi.
Hi.
My question is about videos. So you showed us some really great videos for your Kickstarters, but the videos you showed had, like you said, had the core gameplay being shown. So that requires to already have an engine, art assets, and a working demo, basically. So I have two questions. The first one is, how much of a completed game or a completed demo do you need to produce that kind of gameplay foreshadowing experience? And the second question is, what is your advice for studios who don't have any of that, who just have a game idea, maybe some concept art? What is the strict minimum that you need to have to be able to build an exciting video?
Well, first of all, you don't need to have that much of the game finished yet, because you can cheat a lot. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can have issues in the game, but then try to capture a moment that doesn't have any issues. So, of course, you need the assets, but we try to focus the production on the assets of the Kickstarter. So while a lot of the game might not be finished or even started yet, we do kind of a script for the Kickstarter. What do we want to show? We want to show a battle scene, we want to show a dialogue scene or something like that. And then we produce the assets for those scenes first. And regarding how much you need, I think it's getting harder and harder just with some pictures and a concept to get a game funded. It depends on the quality of the art. If you have really good concept art, it might work, but you still have a lot of explaining to do and use a lot of words and have people in your video talking about the game they want to make. But it's always easier to show what it's going to look like. So one thing you could do is show a prototype that's really early, that doesn't have characters but has dots or something as replacements, but shows the game mechanics. But yeah, overall, I think it's really hard to stick out from all the Kickstarter campaigns that are running right now if you don't have really good assets.
Thank you.
Thanks. Let's give a round of applause to Marco.